NFL Network insiders. We got some breaking news just coming into the NFL Network newsroom moments ago. Ian Rappaport, Tom Pelissero with us. Ian, break this down for me because Carolina still needs a head coach, but it sounds like they got a general manager.
The Carolina Panthers do have a general manager, not going far to find him. It is Dan Morgan, their former superstar linebacker who has been moving up the ranks in their front office. Assistant GM under Scott Fitterer is now the new general manager and president of football operations, part of a restructuring, I would say, of the football division of the Carolina Panthers, hoping to make use of his experience as a player and as a personnel guy to help build this Panthers back to what owner David Tepper wants them to be. It was an exhaustive search. They had a couple second interviews, including Dan Morgan. But the reality was, Tom, Morgan was really the favorite throughout. So much so that he actually sat in on the head coach interviews while he was a general manager candidate. That's rare, but that really does go to show you what this organization thinks of him. Certainly plenty to do for Dan Morgan now that he is officially in the job. But I think it's safe to say not a surprise that he got it.
You just heard it. The Carolina Panthers have selected this guy, Dan Morgan, as the new football operations / GM. We've been calling for something to happen. And they go with the guy that has sat in the building right beside Scott Fitterer in the mess, hand in hand, walking with these guys, play by play, step by step, day by day. And you choose this guy, but not only do you choose him as a GM candidate, which is totally unfair to the rest of the GMs, you had him sitting in interviews with the head coach. Be mindful. That's kind of like you already saying, hey, I chose this guy from the start to be my GM. And once again, the coach the GM has been handpicked by Mr. Tepper himself. He had him sitting in meetings. And be mindful, I get it, he's an assistant GM and acting assistant GM right now. But you can't have the guy that's interviewing for your head GM candidacy as a head GM candidacy. You got him in interviews with potential coaches and other GMs that's supposed to be coming to this organization to put their bid in for, like I said, head coach or GM. You can't have him sitting in your meetings. Once again, the pecking order has already taken out of place. So you've planned another yes man into what we like to call another Tepper situation. Already, it's one day in, and you just heard Adam Schefter say, it's very rare that you see an occasion like this where you allow the assistant GM to be sitting in on interviews while you're trying to find other coaching candidates, while you're trying to find other GM candidates. You allow him this much leeway before he has even gotten a task, a title, or a role. It's unheard of. What this is telling me that it's the same old Tepper, same old news, and once again, we're going to be in the same old mess as an organization. Because one, you jump the gun, you bring this guy in, and you have him sitting in on meetings that he has no business being in. I get it. You fire Scott Fitterer, he's your GM. But Dan Morgan sitting in on meetings should have never taken place. And that's what I said. You got to know your role and you got to know when to let it go. And David Tepper has already started off this new regime just as messy as the last regime. Handwritings on the wall. None of the coaches or the GMs had a fair chance because if you had this guy already sitting in place, handpicked, you knew that you were going to get this guy before you sat down and interviewed anybody else. What was the point of even bringing in these guys when you knew Dan Morgan was going to be your guy? Once again, this is sad. You get another yes man potentially in the building. I know it's a lot of people saying, hold on, don't jump the gun. But come on, man. We've already seen this. Like I said, we knew that this was coming the moment that we started seeing GMs pull back the moment they gave somebody else the job, and then he took his time and he was like, "Nah, I'm good." Come on, bro. We are in contingency plan status. Look, they want Ben Johnson as the head coach. They're not gonna get Ben Johnson. The next thing that you gotta realize is Callahan pull his bid out. He's not going to Tennessee. So is this a reactive move that some of the guys that they wanted, the big names, were pulling out? So now they have to sit here and assert themselves by putting in somebody that they want. It looks like it's going to be GM Dan Morgan, and they're going to probably potentially, after losing out on the Ben Johnson sweepstakes, the Monken, all the guys from the Ravens, the Callahans, they're going to try to go and get a Jero Evero, who's right on this entire Panthers rule right now. I don't have a problem with Evero as a head coach, but the way they're going about doing this screams to me that it's going to be a mess and a dumpster fire. And any coach or GM that's inheriting Bryce Young, boy, you better get weapons galore, because this young fella is not it at quarterback. I'm so over this organization. Terrible move after terrible move after terrible move. And you want me to be excited about this potential move? This is the move. I don't think there was one person that was excited to say, "Ooh, I like Dan Morgan." Come on, man. You've sat in the room since 2021, since Scott Fitterer came through the door. You sat right beside him and watched him make bad move after bad move after bad move. And you sat in the room and watched him make these moves and didn't say a thing. How am I supposed to trust you to build this team going forward when you have already sat in this mess that has us 2-15? If you had a voice then, you would have said something. But apparently, I don't believe this guy has a voice then, and I don't believe he will have one now. So I think it was a very eye-catching move that they did. I'm looking at, like, what's the pros and cons of having Dan Morgan, because they keep linking Seattle, they keep linking all these other organizations to him, in which he was not the guy that built those. He didn't have a hand in doing that. Scouting is different. So I'm under the impression, man, we were calling for different. We thought David Tepper moved out of the way. It's not the case. As a Panther fan, I'm very disappointed, because I thought at least after 7 years of no playoffs, after sitting here through the Matt Rule regime, sitting here through the Frank regime, after 10, 11 games of him getting fired, now we're coming into a whole nother regime, and we're just carrying dead baggage into this new relationship. And it's going to be terrible, because when this thing starts to boil, it's going to fester. And it's going to be a big mess. Last year, we had too many hands in the pots trying to get this coaching staff together. There was too many guys to come in to stir this pot of soup we had last year. The Avengers is what they wanted to call it. This year, we already started off with a lame duck GM that's married to Bryce Young, that his success is going to go as far as his quarterback, which is not going to be far when you look at this young fella, his lack and inability of arm strength, his inability to push the ball down the field, decision making. You look at his feet in the pocket is terrible. And you look and you say, "Hey, I'm going to fix all this in one season." Good luck. Good luck. There ain't enough receivers. There ain't enough running backs. There ain't enough tight ends in the damn college football world that's going to help this young fella out here in Carolina within 1 year. Understand he gets another year. It may be one of the shortest seasons you ever see next season, because don't even have a number one pick this year to right some of the wrongs. So it doesn't look like we're going to be playing competitive football. And Dan Morgan, like I said, you can say, "Hey, I jumped out here too soon." I do not like the pick. I do not like the idea of having him in here. And I do not like the fact that he's already sitting in on different meetings, already being asked to do stuff by Tepper, brown nosing Tepper already. making them feel special and important, allowing them to come into these interviews where he has no business being at right now. This is sad. It's like the more moves that they make here in the Carolina Panthers organization, the worse I feel. And what's the point of hiring a firm to go and get head coaches? You don't even consider Bill Belichick. You don't even consider Jim Harbaugh. You blindly go out there and you chase Ben Johnson, chase him by the coattail, and you understand that this guy had no intention of coming here because it's such a mess, and David Tepper is such a goof as an owner. Hell kind of owner. Why would you come to a place where an owner doesn't pick your quarterback, he pick your coaching staff, he giving the coaches, giving the plays on a napkin that he had written down, doesn't create a Hunger Games environment over here? Who in the hell wants to come here to this mess? And it clearly shows you couldn't get a competent GM through the door. From Alec Hallaby to Mateo to any of these guys that interviewed, they got the hell up out of here. And could you blame them? If you're sitting in your GM interview and you see Dan Morgan sitting up in there, come on, bro, you're sitting there looking like, what the hell going on? If you're looking for a head coaching position, like I said, Callahan, Brian Johnson, all these other guys that they had coming in here, I said to myself, nah, that don't seem to be right. They had Dan Morgan sitting in all the meetings. A new yes man is what this would be called. So shout out to everybody who wants the new yes man, who wants a new yes man quarterback, the media darling. This team is going to be in a funk forever. And like I said, it's going to take this cat messing it up so bad to the point where people just back away completely. Because I think I'm about tired of spending money on this product, and they keep doing lateral moves like this. There's no need for me to go to a game next year when I know the end result is going to be us getting mollywopped because we don't have the correct players together. We don't have roster. We don't have philosophy. We don't have coaching. Come on, man. This is terrible. Like I said, I'm going to give him a chance. I mean, life, you got to give this guy a chance. So it is what it is. Shout out to everybody who's in the chat. This is one of the ones, man. Carolina Panthers hire former player GM, assistant GM Dan Morgan. He has been pushed into the starting role. So, what the hell? I've gotten to the point now where these moves don't even surprise me anymore. I wouldn't be surprised if they just pull somebody randomly off the street to come out and try to make some of these moves. Come on. Do us a favor, like, comment, and subscribe. Yeah. I don't know if anybody got an excitement today after hearing this.